I started doing kind of drama classes on a Saturday afternoon, doing plays and stuff. And then when I was about 17, I did a film when I was still in school, and then I went to Trinity. Well, I left after 6 months. Well, I like to do, as I said, I like to do a bit of everything. I think it's very important for all actors to have a sense of humour. And I'm not a big guy for research. I think a lot of people sometimes think that's just laziness, but I like to keep it very playful because I started when I was a kid, and I don't because actually one of the main reasons I left Trinity was because it was a very it was a degree in drama, and for me, because I started when I was very young, it was always a very playful subject, so I didn't want it ever to become academic, and that's still, 20 years later, is still the case. I don't like it to be weighed down in too much of the academic side of it. So for some actors, they absolutely love that the research is a big part of their process, but for me, I like to keep it very light, and if the script is good, then so yeah, I like to do a bit more Shakespeare with people. Which that was really brilliantly written. They in series 1 of Sherlock, he wasn't supposed to appear at all, the character, and so they were auditioning actors, and there was only about 3 lines for the actors to audition with. So they were a bit like, we need something more to audition the actors with, because he's going to be there for at least a couple of seasons. So what they did was they wrote a sort of an audition scene for the actors to go in. They wrote what turned out to be the swimming pool scene at the end of series 1. So that was just written in 2 minutes for an audition. And I read it and went to audition for it, and I read that, and they liked it. So they put it into the thing. So it's really about the writing. I wanted it to be very playful. I think the thing about villains is that if you know what, I think when people first saw Moriarty, I think they were like, but I wanted it to be original, because I think the idea of having, I don't think anyone would have had any familiarity with my face as well, which I think helped. I think people were like, oh well, who's that guy? Also the writing was very sort of theatrical, and I think it's very important that he was funny. But I didn't look at any other. I didn't look at any other previous incarnations of Moriarty, or I didn't do anything like that. I sort of tried a lot of different ways on the day, and some of the acting choices you make are really embarrassing, and some of them aren't. So you've got to give it over, and they use some of the takes that they think aren't embarrassing.
You won't tell anyone, Tom.
I can tell you that there will be a series.
Go on.
Are you in series 4?
What?
Are you going to be in series 4?
There's a direct question. I ain't answering that.
It was worth a try.
I always think it'd be weird if I said now, this is what's going to happen, you'd all be like, people think they want to know the answer, but they don't want to know. I think you want to know, but I'm not spoiling it. So I'm sorry.
Was filming the stag as fun as it looked?
Filming the stag?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's brilliant. I hadn't worked in Ireland in maybe 5 or 6 years. So we filmed that up in the Wicklow Mountains, and it was, and we were on, I don't know if any of you have seen the stag, it's a great movie, great Irish movie, but we were naked for 2 weeks. We started off with the naked bits. We were like, hello. With the crew the first couple of days, they were literally throwing wet November Irish leaves on them. But actually, it was brilliant. It was really fun. I know some of the guys. I know some of the guys. They did this great sketch show called Your Bad Self a few years ago. And I know Hugh O'Connor, we were in the same school together. And I knew some of the guys from around. So they're all kind of Dublin guys, and I love that film because it's sort of about kind of Dubliners that aren't usually represented in Irish film. You know, a lot of the time Irish movies are a bit more bleak in tone and stuff. So I think it was great that it was a real box office success in Dublin and abroad actually. So it's great. We hope to do another film together, not necessarily of the same subject, but sort of in the same crew. I hope to do it. Yeah, so it was great fun. Yeah, I probably do. It's all, I think that's the most fun thing actually about being an actor is that you never have to really grow up. But with Sherlock, we don't. What's extraordinary now is that we film it. I don't know if this is necessarily a funny story, but we film it now with 500 or 600 people watching it. It's just so bizarre that you start. I mean, we always knew with Sherlock that it was going to be good. You kind of know with scripts, you know with scripts that they're pretty special. We all knew that it was going to be special, but you couldn't have foreseen its success. It's sold in 220 countries around the world, and so people come to Baker Street when we film. You literally have 500 people, watching it, which is kind of unnerving. It's amazing, but it's kind of weird. And also, you have to be really careful about it because Sherlock is so plot-based. We've got to be very careful about that. But no, it's the hardest thing. People say it's not really hard with all the scrutiny coming from Sherlock, but it's much more difficult if you're in a terrible show. So we looked down. And then you could just see right at the end that there was a bit of blue sky thing. So he just assumed. I think if you wanted an elephant on set, one would have arrived from Dublin Zoo. But it was extraordinary. It was really brilliant. He was incredibly, like all the great artists. He was incredibly. Most of the people that are very, very talented are usually good human beings. Most of them. It's the ones that are a bit unconfident about their abilities that are a bit nasty. He was extraordinary, really extraordinary.
With Seawall, how many takes did it take, and how did it compare to doing it on stage?
Oh, that's a lovely question then. Seawall is this half-hour. Well, it was a play. I did it as a one-man play. It's by Great British Simon C. I filmed it as a film. Actually, I really recommend it. Of all the things, we did it for no money. And Simon wrote it as a theatre had broken down. They lost all their lights, the Bush Theatre in London. And the artistic director very inventively commissioned a play that required absolutely no set and no lights. So Simon wrote this play for me called Seawall, and it's really, really beautiful, and it became a big success. So we filmed it, and it's available online. Honestly, I know I'm plugging it, but it's a really, really beautiful piece of work. And so when we filmed it, because we filmed it right at, we did it on a Sunday morning in Simon's neighbour's house. It took maybe 2 takes. We did maybe 2 takes, and we did it all the way right through. And it was quite different to doing it in front of an audience, because it's got a lot of comedy in it. It's almost like a sort of stand-up piece. So not to have the audience there. I did it at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, and it was a very strange experience doing a play on your own, because usually you can go back and say, how is that to the other actors? The best thing about being an actor is the other actors. And so not having them was really weird, and I used to just try it in the bar to try and make friends with the audience. Enjoy it, and they're like, so it was quite difficult to do it. I hope to do Seawall again sometime. I'd love to do it in Dublin actually.
Do you have a dream role or character that you would like to play or that you have played? And then also, is there any sort of character that you hope to play in the future?
I'd love to do a little bit more Shakespeare. I'd like to do some romantic comedy actually. What's happened in the last couple of years is because Moriarty's such a strong character. You tend to have to avoid the kind of freakazoid characters, and so I'd like to play something a little closer to myself. But I'm not particularly good at choosing. I'm not sure that actors are great at choosing what's good for them. So I would rely on people thinking actually, what's quite a weird thing is, an unusual new development is that because of a certain degree of success that you get as an actor, you don't have to audition as much. And I'm not sure that that's a particularly good thing, because sometimes going and trying out for something, you kind of go, I'm really bad at that, or I don't deserve to get this, or I do deserve to get this. When you're actually offered something, you think, and then you're on set and you think, this is a big mistake. Or so I don't know. I'd like to keep going in the way I have really. I'm a little bit wary of having too much exposure. I don't really want to go after too many things with for the sake of increasing one's profile, because it's at a nice level now, and I don't want to. I always say that I don't want people to become the enemy, because I do see I'm a sort of an enthusiast for people, but I do see friends of mine who've got who've got a lot of fame, and they're disturbed the whole time. So anybody coming up to them, it's like a constant thing, and that's tough, because it totally takes over your life. But I think there's a way of balancing that. You can avoid it a little bit.
Sure. So you work with Steven Spielberg. Are there any other directors that you'd like to work with?
Yeah, I'd love to work with my favourite director is Paul Thomas.
We have a friend who couldn't come, but she wanted to know, does Martin Freeman smell as good as he looks?
No way of answering that. How good does she think he looks? Where is she?
There she is.
Right. I'm going to say yeah, he does. I don't think pleasure should ever feel guilty. Do what you want to do, that's what I think.
So I'd like to thank Andrew for his time. I'm just going to invite Zoe up.
Oh, thank you. My dad went to UCD. You wouldn't know this to look at it, but probably about 50 years ago. My mum is, if there's anybody responsible for my interest in the arts, it's my mum. So they're celebrating their 40th wedding anniversary this weekend.